Park Seo-jin noticed the bandage first. It ran along her jawline, partially hidden by the collar of her uniform, but visible when she reached up to dust the top shelf. Then he saw her wrist, purple bruises circling it like a bracelet she never asked for. She didn't know he was watching. She moved through his penthouse the way she always did, efficient, silent, invisible. That was the thing about Serena Johnson. She had perfected the art of not being seen, but Seo-jin saw her now. And what surprised him more than the injuries was the feeling that rose in his chest. Tight, hot, dangerous. He had killed men for less than what someone had done to her face. The thought should have disturbed him. She was his cleaning lady. He didn't even know her last name until 30 seconds ago when he pulled up her file on his phone. Serena Johnson, 31. Single mother. 3 jobs. No criminal record. An address in the part of the city where police responded slow and landlords responded never. She was nobody to him. So why did he want to burn down whoever had touched her? If you're already satisfying your desire for drama, suspense, and love stories, make sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who loves a good story. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Serena finished the shelf and stepped down from the small ladder. She turned and froze. He was standing in the doorway of his own living room, watching her like she was a problem he was trying to solve. Mr. Park. Her voice was steady, but her hand moved instinctively toward her collar, tugging it higher. I didn't realize you were home. I can come back another. What happened to your face? The question landed like a slap. Direct, unavoidable. She hated him for it. I fell, she said. You fell. Yes. He didn't move, didn't blink, just looked at her with those dark eyes that probably made powerful men nervous. Serena refused to be nervous. She had survived too much to be intimidated by a man in an expensive suit, no matter how unsettling his stillness was. Must have been quite a fall, he said, to bruise your wrist and cut your jaw. I'm clumsy. You're lying. The words hung between them. Serena felt heat crawl up her neck, not embarrassment, but anger. Who was he to interrogate her? She cleaned his apartment. She didn't owe him her story. With respect, Mr. Park, my personal life isn't part of my job description. She expected him to push. Men like him always pushed. Instead, he simply nodded and stepped aside, clearing her path to the door. Finish your work, he said. I won't bother you again. But as she gathered her supplies and headed for the elevator, she felt his gaze on her back. Heavy, curious, something she couldn't name. She told herself it didn't matter. Men like Park Seo-jin existed in a different universe. He probably had 100 people who cleaned for him, cooked for him, handled whatever a man with a penthouse and a dangerous reputation needed handled. He would forget about her by tomorrow. Seo-jin did not forget. The file on Serena Johnson arrived within the hour. His people were thorough. Her work history, her daughter's school, her apartment lease, her emergency contacts. A life reduced to paper and data points. But one detail made him set his glass down slowly. Darnell Mitchell, father of her child. 2 assault charges, both dropped. 1, restraining order, expired. Current whereabouts unknown, though he had a habit of resurfacing when he needed something. Seo-jin stared at the name for a long time. He told himself his interest was practical. He didn't like variables he couldn't control, and a woman with bruises working in his home was a variable. That was all. But when he closed his eyes that night, he saw her hand tugging at her collar. The quiet dignity in her voice when she told him to mind his business. The way she refused to break under his stare. She was stronger than she knew. And someone was trying to break her anyway. The next time Serena arrived at the penthouse, a white envelope sat on the kitchen counter, Inside was triple her usual fee. She stared at it for a full minute before she heard him behind her. "It's yours," Seojin said. He was leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her the way he always seemed to now. "I can't accept this." "You can. You did good work last week. Consider it a bonus." Serena turned to face him fully. "Mr. Park, I don't know what you think this is. It's money, nothing more. But I'm not for sale. Whatever you're imagining, whatever you think this buys you, you're wrong." She expected anger, maybe offense. Instead, something flickered across his face that looked almost like respect. "I'm not trying to buy you, Serena. I'm trying to pay you what you're worth. There's a difference." Her name in his mouth felt strange, too familiar, too warm. She took the envelope because Ella needed new shoes, and the rent was late, and pride was a luxury she couldn't afford. But she didn't thank him. She just looked at him with eyes that had seen too much to be fooled. "Don't make this into something it isn't," she said. Then she went back to work, and he let her. But they both knew something had shifted. A door had cracked open. Neither of them knew yet what would walk through. Serena's apartment was small enough that Ella's laughter filled every corner of it. That was the only good thing about 700 square feet. Sound carried, and her daughter's joy was the only music Serena needed. "Mama, look." Ella held up a drawing of a whale shark, her favorite. The girl was obsessed with ocean creatures, with space, with anything that suggested a world bigger than the one they lived in. "That's beautiful, baby." Serena kissed the top of her head. You remembered all the spots. Whale sharks have unique patterns, like fingerprints. Ella said it with the confidence of a 7-year-old professor. "Where'd you learn that?" "Library. Ms. Patterson let me check out 2 extra books because I finished my reading log early." Serena's heart ached with pride and grief in equal measure. Her daughter was brilliant, curious, hungry for knowledge. She deserved a room full of books, a school that challenged her, a life where her mother didn't come home smelling like bleach and other people's floors. Someday, Serena promised, herself. Someday. A knock at the door shattered the moment. Serena's body went rigid. She knew that knock. 2 quick raps, then a pause, then a third. Darnell's signature back when she used to wait for it, with something other than dread. "Ella, go to your room." "But Mama." "Now, baby, close the door." Ella's face crumpled, but she obeyed. She always obeyed when Serena used that voice. The one that meant danger was close. Serena opened the door just enough to see him. Darnell Mitchell looked like he always did. Handsome in a way that used to make her stupid, wearing a smile that no longer worked on her. "Hey, Rena." He leaned against the doorframe like he belonged there. "Miss me?" "What do you want, Darnell?" Can't a man visit the mother of his child? You're not a father. You're a sperm donor who shows up when he needs something. So I'll ask again. What do you want? The smile flickered. There it was. The real Darnell, hiding just beneath the charm. "I need money." "I don't have any." "That's not what I heard." He pushed off the frame, stepped closer. "Word is, you got a new job. Some rich guy's place. Fancy building, fancy paycheck." Serena's blood went cold. He was watching her, tracking her. After everything, he was still keeping tabs. "It's a cleaning job, Darnell. I scrub toilets. I don't get a cut of his stock portfolio." "Don't lie to me." His voice dropped. The charm evaporated completely. "You trapped me with that kid, ruined my life, and now you're holding out on me?" "I got people breathing down my neck, Serena. Dangerous people. I need money, and you're going to help me get it. I didn't trap you with anything. You made your choices, and I don't owe you a single thing." She tried to close the door. His hand shot out and caught it. "I wasn't asking." The first hit came fast, open palm across her cheek. The second was a fist to her arm when she raised it to block. Serena didn't scream. She wouldn't give him that. Wouldn't let Ella hear her mother break. "Next time I come back, you better have something for me," Darnell hissed, "or I swear to God, Serena, you'll regret it." Then he was gone, down the stairs, into the night, back to whatever hole he crawled out of. Serena locked the door, checked it twice. Then she walked to the bathroom, closed the door, turned on the faucet, and let herself cry where her daughter couldn't hear. This was her life, working until her bones ached, protecting her child from a man who saw them both as property. Dreaming of a bakery she'd probably never own, a legacy her grandmother started and she couldn't finish. She thought about the white envelope, the man with the dark eyes who saw too much. No, she couldn't go down that road. Men like Park Seo-jin didn't save women like her. They used them, then discarded them. That was how the world worked. She would handle Darnell herself. She always had. She didn't need anyone. But 2 weeks later, when Seo-jin offered her a full-time position again, quadruple her current pay, benefits, flexible hours, a car service so she wouldn't have to take the bus through dangerous neighborhoods at night, Serena found herself considering it. He had offered before, but she vehemently refused because she didn't want to be too involved in whatever his mafia boss life entailed. "Why?" she asked. "Why me? You could hire anyone." Seo-jin considered the question. "Because you're good at your job. Because you don't waste my time with small talk. And because I think you need this more than you're willing to admit. You don't know what I need. I know you flinch when your phone rings. I know you check over your shoulder when you walk to the bus stop. I know someone is hurting you, and you're too proud or too scared to ask for help." Serena's throat tightened. She hated how clearly he saw her. Hated even more that some part of her was grateful for it. "This would be a job," she said carefully. "Nothing else. No complications." "Agreed. And my daughter comes first, always. If I need to leave, I leave. No questions. No questions." She searched his face for the lie, the angle, the hidden trap. She found nothing but patience. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll take the job." She told herself it was just money, just stability, just a better life for Ella. She told herself she wasn't walking into something she couldn't walk out of. She was wrong on both counts. Working in Seo-jin's penthouse changed things in ways Serena hadn't anticipated. It wasn't the money, though, that helped. For the first time in years, she wasn't choosing between groceries and electricity. It wasn't the car service, though. Watching the city slide past from the back seat, instead of a crowded bus, felt like a small miracle. It was him. Seo-jin was rarely home, but when he was, he existed at the edges of her awareness, like heat from a fire she couldn't see. He didn't hover, didn't make conversation for the sake of filling silence. But sometimes she'd catch him watching her with that unreadable expression, and something in her chest would tighten. She learned things about him, small things. He drank his coffee black but kept honey in the cabinet for reasons he never explained. He read poetry, actual poetry, worn paperbacks in Korean that he left on his nightstand. He received visitors who spoke in low voices and left quickly, and she knew better than to ask what those meetings were about. She knew what he was. The whispers, the deferent way people treated him, the quiet danger that clung to him like cologne. Park Seo-jin was not a good man, not in any way that the world measured goodness, but he was never cruel to her, never grabbed, never leered, never made her feel small. And in Serena's experience, that alone made him extraordinary. 3 weeks into her new position, the call came. She was polishing the glass dining table when her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and felt her stomach drop. Darnell. She declined the call. It buzzed again, and again. On the 4th ring, her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped the phone. "You can answer it." Seo-jin's voice came from behind her. She hadn't heard him enter, The man moved like smoke. "It's nothing," she said. "It's clearly something." The phone stopped ringing, then immediately started again. Serena closed her eyes. When she opened them, Seo-jin had moved closer, not crowding her. He never crowded her, but present, waiting. "It's Ella's father," she heard herself say. "He wants money. He always wants money. And when you don't give it to him?" The question hung in the air. Serena touched her jaw without thinking, the place where the bandage had been weeks ago. Seo-jin's expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes went very, very still. "He hits you." It wasn't a question. Serena didn't answer. She didn't have to. "He's in trouble," she said quietly. "Owes money to people. Dangerous people, apparently. So he comes to me because I've always been his safety net. His backup plan. The woman too tired to fight back." "Does he touch your daughter?" "No." The word came out fierce. "Never. I would kill him myself if he touched Ella." Seo-jin nodded slowly. "Does he know where you work now?" "I don't know. Maybe. He always finds out eventually." She laughed bitterly. "He doesn't want me, you understand. Hasn't wanted me in years, but he doesn't want anyone else to have me either. I'm his property in his mind. Something he can come back to, whenever he needs, to feel powerful." The silence stretched between them. When Seo-jin spoke again, his voice was low. "You're not property, Serena. You never were." She looked at him then. Really looked. And for one dangerous moment, she let herself wonder what it would feel like to be protected by a man like this. To have someone stand between her and the darkness instead of being the darkness herself. Then she pushed the thought away, locked it down. She couldn't afford to want things she couldn't have. "I should get back to work," she said. He let her go, but she felt his gaze on her back long after she walked away. Ella started spending afternoons at the penthouse. It happened gradually. Serena's shift sometimes ran long, and the after-school program cost money she was trying to save for the bakery fund, the secret account she'd been building, dollar by dollar, for 3 years. So she asked Seo-jin if it would be acceptable to bring her daughter occasionally, just until she finished her work. He said yes, without hesitation. The first time Ella walked into the penthouse, her eyes went wide as dinner plates. "Mama," she whispered, "this place is bigger than our whole building." "Don't touch anything," Serena warned. "I won't." But Ella was already drifting toward the floor-to-ceiling windows, drawn to the view of the city like a moth to flame. Seo-jin emerged from his office an hour later. He stopped when he saw the small girl sitting cross-legged on his living room floor, a library book open in her lap. "You must be Ella." Ella looked up. Most children would shrink under his gaze. Hell, most adults did. But Ella just studied him with curious eyes. "You're the man who gave my mom money for my new shoes." Serena nearly choked. "Ella." "She said you were quiet," Ella continued, ignoring her mother. "She said you watch people like you're trying to figure them out." Seo-jin's mouth twitched, the closest thing to a smile Serena had ever seen on him. "Your mother is very observant," he said. "What are you reading?" Ella held up the book. "It's about whale sharks. Did you know they're the biggest fish in the ocean, but they only eat tiny things like plankton? They're gentle giants." "I didn't know that." Most people think sharks are scary, but whale sharks aren't scary at all. They're just misunderstood. Something flickered across Seo-jin's face. "I suppose some things are." After that, he started leaving books for her. The first one appeared on the coffee table, a hardcover about deep-sea creatures with illustrations so beautiful, Ella gasped when she opened it. Then came one about the solar system. Then, a puzzle book filled with logic problems that kept her occupied for hours. He never made a big deal of it, never waited for thank yous, or made a show of his generosity. The books simply appeared, and Ella devoured them like oxygen. "He's nice," Ella said one evening as Serena tucked her into bed. The quiet man. He's nice, isn't he, Mama? Serena smoothed her daughter's hair back. He's complicated, baby. Does that mean bad? No, Serena thought. It doesn't. But it doesn't mean safe either. Get some sleep, she said instead of answering. But long after Ella's breathing slowed, Serena lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering when exactly she had started to feel something more than gratitude toward Park Seo-jin, and wondering how badly it would burn her when it all fell apart. Everything fell apart on a Tuesday. Serena arrived at the penthouse to find Hyun-woo, Seo-jin's second-in-command, waiting in the lobby. His expression made her stomach clench. There's been an incident, he said. Mr. Park needs to speak with you. She found Seo-jin in his office, standing at the window with his back to her. He didn't turn around when she entered. Your ex-boyfriend came here yesterday, he said, after you left. Serena's blood went cold. What? He made a scene in the lobby, demanded to see you. When security tried to remove him, he became violent. Now Seo-jin turned. His face was calm, but his eyes were anything but. My men handled it. Handled it how? They explained to him very clearly what would happen if he came near you or Ella again. Serena's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it. You threatened him. I protected you. I didn't ask for your protection. The words exploded out of her, louder than she intended. Seo-jin didn't flinch. You didn't have to ask. You don't understand. Serena was pacing now, her mind racing through worst-case scenarios. Darnell isn't just a bully. He's vindictive. When he feels powerless, he finds ways to hurt me that don't leave bruises. He knows exactly how to destroy my life without lifting a finger. He can't touch you. I won't allow it. You won't allow it? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Do you know what happens to women like me when powerful men start fighting over them? We're the ones who bleed. We're the ones who lose. Her phone rang. She looked at the screen and felt the ground drop out from under her. Child Protective Services. Her hands trembled as she answered. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. 4 minutes to learn that an anonymous complaint had been filed, claiming Serena was exposing her daughter to dangerous criminal elements. 4 minutes to learn that an investigation had been opened. 4 minutes to learn that she would need to make herself available for interviews, home visits, character assessments. 4 minutes to watch her entire world crumble. When she hung up, she couldn't look at Seo-jin. Serena. He called CPS. Her voice was barely a whisper. He told them I'm involved with criminals, that Ella isn't safe with me. I'll fix this. I have lawyers. You don't get it. Now she did look at him, and the fury in her eyes made him go still. I'm a black single mother with 3 jobs and an address in the wrong part of town. Do you know what the system does to women like me? Do you know how hard I have worked to stay invisible, to stay small, to never give anyone a reason to look twice at my family? She was shaking now, tears streaming down her face. You thought you were helping. You thought your money and your power could shield me from consequences. But you didn't think, Seo-jin. You didn't think about what happens when a man like you protects a woman like me. You made me visible. You put a target on my back, and now Darnell is using your world to take away my daughter. I will fix this, he repeated, but his voice had lost its certainty. No. She stepped back. I'm done. I quit. And I need you to stay away from me. Stay away from Ella. Whatever this was, whatever you thought was happening between us, it's over. Serena, please. My daughter is everything. She is my whole world, and I will not let your lifestyle, your enemies, your power, destroy what I've built to keep her safe. She was at the door now. She couldn't look back. If she looked back, she might waver, and she couldn't afford to waver. Not now. I'm sorry, Seo-jin said quietly. I thought I was protecting you. I didn't understand. No, Serena said. You didn't. Then she walked out of his penthouse, out of his building, out of his life. Ella asked about the bookman for weeks afterward. Serena never knew what to say. The CPS investigation lasted 6 weeks. 6 weeks of home visits, interviews, and strangers examining every corner of Serena's life. 6 weeks of smiling politely while caseworkers opened her refrigerator, checked Ella's bedroom, asked questions designed to trip her up. She passed. Of course she passed. There was nothing to find, because there was nothing wrong. Just a mother working herself to the bone to give her daughter a good life. But the experience left scars. Serena stopped sleeping through the night. She flinched every time someone knocked on her door. She went back to her old jobs, the ones that paid less and demanded more, because at least those jobs didn't come with complications. Ella stopped asking about the bookman, but sometimes Serena caught her daughter staring at the science books on her shelf, and the look on Ella's face broke her heart. 2 months after she walked out of Seo-jin's penthouse, he appeared at her apartment door. No bodyguards, no expensive car waiting at the curb. Just him, standing in her hallway, like he belonged in a world of flickering fluorescent lights and peeling wallpaper. Before you tell me to leave, he said, I need you to hear something. Serena should have slammed the door, should have screamed at him to go. Instead, she stepped aside and let him in. He looked around her apartment, the cramped kitchen, the second-hand furniture, the drawings Ella had taped to every available surface, and his expression softened in a way she'd never seen before. I'm sorry. He said it simply, without excuses. I acted from a position of power without understanding your position of vulnerability. I thought I was protecting you, but I was really just controlling the situation, the way I always do, and I made things worse. Yes, Serena said, you did. I've never met anyone who made me want to be different. He turned to face her. I've built my entire life on control, on fear, on keeping people at a distance. Then you walked into my penthouse with bruises on your face and fire in your eyes, and something in me shifted. I don't know how to explain it. I just knew I couldn't let anyone hurt you again. That's not your choice to make. I know that now. He stepped closer, but not too close, giving her space. I know I have no right to want you. I know my world is dangerous, and your daughter has to come first. I know all of that. But I needed you to know that you changed something in me, Serena. Something I didn't think could be changed. Serena felt tears burning behind her eyes. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. What happens when your enemies find out about us? She asked. What happens when Ella gets caught in the crossfire? What kind of life is that? He didn't have an answer. She could see him searching for one, wanting to promise her safety he couldn't guarantee. I think you should go, she said softly. He nodded. He didn't argue, didn't push. He just looked at her one last time, memorizing her face, she realized, and walked toward the door. Seo-jin. He stopped. Ella misses the books. Something raw flickered across his face. I miss her too. Then he was gone, and Serena stood alone in her apartment, wondering if she'd just made the right choice or the worst mistake of her life. They found their way back to each other slowly. A phone call here, a coffee there. Serena kept Ella separate. She wasn't ready to let her daughter get attached again, but she couldn't seem to stay away from him entirely. They talked about things they'd never discussed before. His childhood in Korea, her grandmother Lucille, and the bakery dream. The weight they both carried, and the masks they wore to survive. She saw more of his world, the violence he was capable of, but also the strange code he lived by. He saw more of hers, the exhaustion, the resilience, the fierce tenderness she reserved for her daughter. They fell in love, Not the fairy tale kind, the real kind, built on honesty and full knowledge of exactly who the other person was. But Darnell wasn't finished. His debts had reached a breaking point. The people he owed money to, dangerous people connected to Seojin's rivals, offered him a deal. Clear the debt in exchange for one simple task. Give them access to Serena and Ella. Serena was at work when her phone rang. The school. Ella hadn't been picked up. No one knew where she was. The next 30 minutes were the worst of Serena's life. She called everyone, checked everywhere, and then her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. A photo of Ella, crying, in the back of a car, and a message. Tell your boyfriend we want to talk. Serena couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The world reduced itself to a single terrible point of focus. She called Seojin. He took her. Her voice broke on the words. Darnell took Ella. They have my baby. The silence on the other end lasted only a second. When Seojin spoke, his voice was ice. I'm coming. Don't move. Don't call anyone else. I will bring her home. Serena had never believed in saviors, had spent her whole life knowing that no one was coming to rescue her, that she had to save herself. But in that moment, she let herself believe in him. If you're at the edge of your seat right now, drop a comment and let me know. And make sure you're subscribed, because this story is far from over. Seojin mobilized everything. His network, his resources, every ounce of power he'd spent a lifetime accumulating. They tracked Ella to a warehouse on the outskirts of the city, Seojin's rivals, using Darnell as a pawn in a larger game. The confrontation was brutal. Seojin didn't show mercy, but he kept his promise to Serena. Darnell wasn't killed. He was arrested on kidnapping charges, real charges that would stick this time. The rivals were handled in ways Serena chose not to ask about. And Ella came home. She was shaken, tearful, but unharmed. She clung to Serena and sobbed, and Serena held her so tight she thought she might never let go. Seojin stood in the doorway, watching, waiting. He'd brought her daughter back, but he didn't presume that meant anything, didn't push his way into the moment. Ella looked up, saw him, and reached out one small hand. "Bookman," she whispered. Seojin crossed the room and knelt beside them. He didn't touch them, just stayed close, present. "You're safe now," he said. "Both of you, I promise." For the first time in her life, Serena let herself lean on someone else when they finally hugged. The days after Ella's rescue should have brought peace. Instead, they brought clarity, the painful kind. Serena watched her daughter sleep, still flinching at shadows, still asking to keep the lights on. Ella was safe now, but she hadn't been. And the reason she hadn't been was because of Seojin's world, not Seojin himself. Serena knew he would never hurt them. But his world was a living thing with teeth, and it had already bitten her daughter once. She couldn't risk it biting again. "I can't do this," she told him 3 days later. They stood in her tiny kitchen, the distance between them feeling like miles. "I love you. I do. But Ella was taken because of who you are, because your enemies saw me as leverage. I'll dismantle everything. You can't dismantle a lifetime overnight." Her voice cracked. "And I can't wait to see if the next threat gets to my daughter before you do." Seojin's jaw tightened. She could see him fighting the urge to argue, to promise, to fix. But he didn't. He just listened. "She comes first," Serena whispered. "She always comes first." "I know. Then you understand why I have to walk away." Silence stretched between them. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. "I'm going to fix my life, Serena. Not for you, for the man I want to become. I'm going to make it something that can't hurt you or Ella ever again." He stepped closer, cupped her face in his hands. "And when I'm done, I'm coming back for you, not to claim you, to earn you." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "And if it takes years, then it takes years. You're worth every single one." He kissed her forehead. Gentle. Final. Then he walked out the door. Ella cried when she realized he wasn't coming back. Serena held her and cried too, hating herself for breaking her daughter's heart to protect it. "Will we see him again, Mama?" Serena stroked her hair. "We'll see, baby. We'll see." Seo-jin didn't waste time on grief. He had work to do. The restructuring began immediately, cutting ties with the most violent operations, shifting investments into legitimate businesses, cleaning what could be cleaned. It cost him money, allies, reputation. People who once feared him now whispered that he'd gone soft. He handled the whispers, but differently now. Less blood, more strategy. The biggest change came when he called his younger brother. Seo-hyun had always been kept at arm's length. Seo-jin told himself it was protection, keeping his brother away from the darkness. But really, it was control. The same control Serena had accused him of. "I need help," Seo-jin said. 3 words he'd never spoken to anyone. Seo-hyun was skeptical. "You're serious? After years of shutting me out?" "I was wrong to shut you out. This is a family business. It's time I let it be one." They worked together, rebuilt together. Seo-jin learned to delegate, to trust, to share the weight he'd carried alone for so long. It wasn't easy. Some nights he wanted to call Serena so badly his hand hovered over his phone for hours. He never called. He'd made a promise. He would keep it. 6 months into his transformation, Serena received a letter. An anonymous investor wanted to fund a bakery. Full ownership to her. No strings, no debt. She knew immediately who it was. Her first instinct was to refuse. She didn't want his charity, didn't want to owe him anything. But then she thought about Grandma Lucille, the dream they'd shared over flour-dusted counters and Sunday mornings, the legacy Serena had been too broke and too beaten down to build. She accepted the investment, but she wrote him a letter in return. "This isn't me coming back. This means I'm building something of my own. If you're still changing in a year, come find me." She named the bakery Lucille's. The year passed in parallel. Serena built her dream from the ground up. The struggles, the small victories, the first regular customers who came back because her honey bread reminded them of home. Ella did homework at the corner table, helped frost cupcakes, grew 3 inches, and lost 2 front teeth. Seo-jin continued his transformation. Seo-hyun took over daily operations, while Seo-jin stepped back, still involved but no longer consumed. He read poetry again, slept through the night, became someone who could exist in daylight without leaving shadows behind. He thought about Serena every single day, but he waited. He'd promised her a year. 1 year to the day after she sent that letter, Seo-jin walked into Lucille's bakery. The bell above the door chimed. Serena looked up from the register, and her heart stopped. He was different, still commanding, still magnetic. But there was an openness in him now, a softness around the edges that hadn't existed before. "Hi," he said. "Hi. I promised I'd come back." "You did." He didn't move closer, didn't presume anything. "Can I sit?" She nodded toward a corner booth. "Coffee? Please." She brought him a cup, sat across from him. They looked at each other for a long moment, a year of longing and growth and hope, suspended between them. "You built something beautiful," he said, glancing around the bakery. "So did you. I heard about the changes. Your brother. I learned to let people in." His eyes found hers. "You taught me that." Before she could respond, the kitchen door swung open and Ella appeared, apron dusted with flour, a smear of chocolate on her cheek. She froze when she saw him. Then her face broke into the biggest smile Serena had ever seen. "You're the bookman." Seo-jin's composure cracked. Something raw and tender flooded his expression. "I brought you something." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a book. Deep Sea Creatures, the sequel to the one he'd given her years ago. Ella grabbed it, clutched it to her chest, then did something unexpected. She hugged him. Serena watched the man she loved wrap his arms around her daughter, and she knew. This was it. This was home. 6 months later, Lucille's bakery was thriving. Seo Jin helped with morning deliveries, taught Ella Korean words, read with her in the corner booth on slow afternoons. Seo Hyun ran the family business. Seo Jin was still connected, but no longer defined by it. Serena stood in her kitchen one evening, flour on her apron, the smell of fresh bread filling the air. Seo Jin came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. "I spent years trying to be invisible," she said softly. "I know." He pressed a kiss to her temple. "I see you now. All of you." She leaned back into him, into this life they'd built against all odds. A feared mafia boss who learned to become soft. A struggling single mother who learned to let someone in. A little girl who got her bookman back. Home isn't a place. It's not 4 walls or an address or a zip code. Home is being seen. Fully, completely, without flinching. Home is this. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment telling me your favorite part. Was it Ella and the books? Seo Jin's transformation? Serena's strength? I read every single comment. And share this with someone who needs to believe that love can find you in the most unexpected places. Until next time.